Okay, next up, Georgia Tech defensive coordinator, linebackers coach Andrew Thacker. We'll go ahead and open it right up for questions for Coach Thacker. If you can, as you've done, please use the raise hand function within Zoom. If you have a question, we'll call on people individually. And we'll start with Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Andrew, I was just curious what your kind of thoughts were. That was a tough team to defend last week, and you get another spread tempo team this week, and Syracuse a little bit different in terms of maybe where they are in their development as a program. But can you just talk about kind of what you saw from your defense, and then kind of the way you guys chose to defend the spread last week?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So just kind of give you a framework of our week. The best thing that we do after an adverse Saturday is we come in on Sunday and we put everything to bed. So we say tell the truth Sunday. It starts with me as the leader of the defense, the defensive coordinator. So make sure I'm being very honest with my assessment of myself and the faults that we did have. Not to say we didn't have good moments, but the faults we did have. So it certainly starts with me and making sure that I'm very honest with our kids on how I can be better. And then in each individual situation, when we had breakdowns or when we had failures, being very honest to each other what those things were, be it communication, be it execution, being at a really good football team out executing us and making plays in critical situations. So we had our Tell It the Truth Sunday. Again, the best piece about that, we also talked about if we don't learn from the mistakes that we made. One of the mistakes that we made is handling tempo. You guys had asked a lot of questions last Tuesday about how do you prepare for those tempo things, and we tried to put as many scenarios through the course of the week and practice preparation, and then you get into the game, and to UCF's credit, they execute the NASCAR tempo offense better than anybody that I've seen in the country at a very effective rate. So in a real live scenario, we learned situations how critical it is to make a play. We actually had a lot of successful first down plays, and then we get in second and get them off schedule, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 14, and they were getting out of 2nd and longs, which shouldn't be the case. Most of it was dealt because making a play, not getting our eyes to the sideline to get the next call prepared and to get into a base alignment, and just from an alignment standpoint and tempo, cowarding us, getting us off our off base. So again, we learned that in real scenarios. We've gone through that. So if we don't learn again from the mistakes that we made this previous week, shame on us. I think the kids had a great attitude on Sunday. We were able to tell the truth. We were able to have a light practice on Sunday night to get the lactic acid out, to make sure we get the mistakes that we made out of the way. We give the kids off on Monday, and our attitude was fantastic today to lock in on Syracuse. So again, I say all that about the schedule is once the Sunday night was over, we were able to turn the page. Guys were able to have their off day for their legs and their body, but then they were able to do preparation on their own on their off day and prepare for Syracuse. We were able to come in this morning and install all the base game plan, and I'm really excited about what we did today. Again, today at the end of practice, we finished the deal with a tempo execution period. We had to do it from the sideline, control our eyes, get the next call, get lined up to emulate that, and I think the kids understood the urgency of that situation.
Next question from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Andrew. I was wondering, I imagine last week game planning, getting things ready, Coach Collins alluded to it was a challenge. Obviously, you went with a 3-down lineman, which I'm guessing was not in the plans originally. But what was that like to kind of go on the fly and shift as things were changing with the roster?
Sure. I remember meeting with you guys all the way back during our OTA period, and we said this is going to be a season like none other, and we've got to be prepared for prepared for attrition. You literally don't know who you're going to have on your roster to be available in the game until Saturday morning when you receive all the COVID tests. We get a 9 a.m. text from Coach Collins on Saturday morning of game days to make sure that we have the players that we have available. So we've got to be flexible this season. We did work in a package in the off season to be prepared for moments at any level if we're short, if we have attrition at certain positions. So we were able to try to get our best players on the field with more of a 3-down package on Saturday, and relative to what they did, we thought that was the best fit. Again, we had stretches where we played solid football, but certainly this is a season like none other. So we had to play in that. We had to be prepared. You cannot make excuses in this environment. You never know which team it is going to affect, the attrition piece. So we've got to put the ball down, play with the guys that are available. And again, relative to what we had available, we had the best package to get our best guys on the field, but certainly have to be creative in this season.
Next question from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Andrew. Syracuse announced that they're going to play both quarterbacks on Saturday. Are their tendencies the same for both guys? And what do you make of DeVito having run the ball, I think it was 30 times already this season?
Yeah, so we know him by numbers from watching film. So I believe DeVito's 13 and Culpepper is 17. Different frames, different body types more so than anything. 17, Culpepper is a taller, bigger bodied guy. But both certainly have skill sets. To be honest with you, by no means are we basing their lack of success on them. This is an elite offensive staff. Dino is the head coach there because of all of his offensive success. And, at one point, this is a 9 to 10 win team in the ACC. They've played really good defenses. North Carolina and Pitt's defenses they played in the first two games have played high-quality defense versus them and really put pressure on the quarterback. So 13 took a shot late in the game. He went out, and 17 finished the game for him. Certainly will be prepared for both. They have different skill sets, first off in body type, and then the next piece is just in their throw delivery. The biggest thing, and I'm sure that they're cleaning up right now, is finding a package that fits their personnel. They've taken negative plays and they've taken sacks on those quarterbacks. When those quarterbacks are clean in the pocket and they're able to operate at a high rate and they get going with their tempo, they have very solid quarterback play. DeVito, again, a very, very highly recruited kid coming out of high school. Certainly that is warranted for the talent, the arm talent that he has. I'm sure that they're working very hard on finding ways to protect their quarterback this week so they can show that.
Next question comes from Patrick Canaro from Ramblin' Sports.
Hey, good morning, Coach Thacker. Back to Saturday for one quick minute, please. You guys did a really good job of clamping down on UCF in the third quarter, no points and much fewer yards gained. I wondered if in the fourth quarter there was anything substantively different in the scheme or their increased production was just more of a factor of the circumstance, a turnover or two, and maybe some depth issues at the tag end. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Let me be very careful with the answer, and I appreciate your question. I appreciate you accentuating a positive because there were positives to take away from the game. We came out in the second half. We were down 28-7, and we had to say this at moments last year, but a team that doesn't have a strong culture, a team that doesn't have a strong care factor, they go down in the second half and they lay down. We absolutely battled our tails off, and we got it back to within 28-21 to go into the fourth quarter. Over that time, in that third quarter, we had 5 different possessions and we got off the field. The thing I was most proud of, we came out of halftime and Coach Collins, we attacked success. He made a decision to try a surprise onside kick. We didn't get it. We were able to get off of that drive. We treat that as a sudden change. And we give the ball back to the offense, and then there was a takeaway. Right off the takeaway, we had to go put the ball down again on a sudden change. We got the ball back on an interception one play later. So it was back-to-back substitutions, down 28-7 out of halftime, and I think that's a character piece for us as an organization, as a defense, and just very speaks to the care factor of our kids. So to your point, a lot to build off in that third quarter. That is one of the elite offenses in college football. Said it multiple times going in, and then certainly it was true in the game. But that's tough to do. A normal game goes 11 to 12 series on average. We defended 16 series, so those 5 series seem good, but over the course of the game, you've got to sustain. So to your point, we didn't sustain in the fourth quarter. Once we got up to possession 14, 15, 16, once we got up into the 80 to 90 play range, it took a toll on us, and we didn't execute at a high level. So we've got to train ourselves into playing high rep count, and then we've got to train ourselves into having a competitive depth chart. So when that first group comes down, the ATL depth chart is real, so we can sustain when we get in those type of scenarios. So by no means no excuse, but do want to find ways to accentuate some positives because our kids continue to play with a great effort. I've got to do a better job for the guys and help them execute and get them in the right calls and sustain through the course of the game so we can come out with a great result on Saturday.
Time for a couple more for Coach Thacker. We'll start with another one from Kelly Quinlan.
Hey, Andrew, I was curious about Charlie Thomas. He seemed to fit a little bit better in what you guys were doing in terms of schematics and getting a chance to pass rush, which is something he likes to do, and get at the quarterback a little bit. Can you kind of just talk about that, and then the fact you guys already have 5 sacks and you got 2 against a team that doesn't give up very many? I imagine you have to be a little bit more pleased with kind of your ability to get some solid pass rush in these first 2 games.
Yeah, that's right. So we talk about the chaos index. You know, we've got 5 takeaways and 5 sacks. You know, in the first 2 games, we want more. By no means are we settling on that, but we're starting to create some disruption. And then the other pieces, we're starting to create more TFLs than we did relative to last season. So that chaos index of getting negative plays. I talked to you guys previous weeks about the get 10. Between the takeaways, between the sacks, between the TFLs, and then even our pass disruption on PBUs, we're really starting to disrupt the football. And then, as always, on Saturdays, we find out that the ball is the most important piece in protecting it, and then for certainly us creating takeaways on our side of the football. So we've got to do that more to give the ball back to what is now an elite offense that's executing at a high level. So, yeah, I was pleased with that. You asked about Charlie Thomas. Again, we don't want to be constrained to just, hey, we're a 4-3, we're a 4-2-5. I've always said we have multiplicity, and then we really showed some multiplicity by our structure. So we're able to put Charlie Thomas in what we called a joker package. You know, he wasn't in a stack will linebacker position. He wasn't out in space having to cover 2 man-to-man. He was more of an overhang, and him and Caleb Oliver played that position, and they were able to use their skill set. So it was more of an NFL-style mindset of, you know, how do we fit our most disruptive players into a scheme and allow them to go attack the quarterback in that situation. You know, and then Charlie had some production. He had 2 sacks, had 3 TFLs, and you know, one of Charlie's traits is he is a playmaker. He has playmakability. He has disruptive playmakability. So certainly tried to find ways for him to do that. I'm glad he found some success on Saturday. And even the second drive of the game, they get a first down. On a 1st and 10, he goes and creates a sack. And some way, somehow, the quarterback keeps the ball in his hand. But we get him in a 2nd and 20, and that kind of got us going in some stretches right there. So proud of him and his effort, and good to find him a way to create some negative plays for us because he has the ability to do that.
Okay, our final question for Coach Thacker comes from Rod McKenzie.
Andrew, as everybody knows, you've been missing some guys up front. Is there any chance that you may get some of those guys back this week?
Yes, there is a chance. Yeah, thanks, Rod. Yeah, we're they're battling, you know, for whatever their circumstances is. I'm not being a smart butt, but yes, without saying things that I can't say. Let's get our big guys back so we can be dominant up front. We feel like we played a really good 4-down plan versus Florida State, and you know, those guys were playing well and really pushing the pocket. And I talked about after the Florida State game, just building a wall at the line of scrimmage, being able to play solid run defense, and really pushing the pocket and being mindful of their rush lane. So hopefully we've got a way to be 4 down and 3 down, have some multiplicity, but let's get our big guys in there. We would love for that to be our identity, is to establish the line of scrimmage before we do anything else.